Hello, good afternoon. This is David Soto talking to you. Today is my weekly trade predictions for the upcoming trading week of July 29th through August 2nd. Okay, and one thing we need to note is that this coming Friday, August 2nd, is non-farm payroll. Okay, and but this non-farm payroll will only affect the U.S. dollar. It will not affect the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollars or the Canadian government's non-farm payroll will be issued on the 9th of August, the following Friday. Okay, so do not expect this NFP day to be, extremely volatile. Although I do expect to see a drop in the U.S. dollar, and the same thing with next Friday, when the Canadian government releases their employment data next Friday for non-farm payroll. I would not expect to see a huge volatility also, because when they split like that, you see a lot less volatility. At least that's what I've seen in the past. Okay. Now, one thing I want to note before I get my trade predictions is that on this high impact news, okay, there is quite a bit of high impact news this coming week, and one thing we can expect, okay, is for the U.S. dollar to drop. And the reason I think this is, if we look here, we have on Wednesday we have ADP non-farm employment change, and they're expecting a increase in the number of jobs, which is good actually. But also it has federal funds rate, okay, and they're expecting the U.S. government expecting to lower interest rates. Typically, when this happens, you will see a drop in the value of the U.S. dollar. This means that the U.S. dollar is not doing good, and they want to lower interest rates to try to boost the economy. Okay, so if you look here on the description here, it says the actual greater than forecast is good for currency. So typically, like I said, typically if there's an increase in the interest rates, you will see a real big gain in the U.S. dollar. Okay. Now this is only tentative right now. This is only a prediction. Okay, it says forecast, so we don't know 100% certain, but this is pretty accurate normally, especially for the federal funds rate. Also, I think it's going to drop because on non-farm payroll, the there's going to be a drop in the employment data. Okay, now the unemployment rate here is not expected to drop, but the number of jobs right here is going to drop from 224,000 to 160,000. That's a pretty big drop, and if that's true, then we will see a drop. Now, I cannot say exactly what these predictions are going to happen, or it really is true or not. The thing is, you gotta want to keep this in the back of your mind. There's Great British Pound has a lot, Australian dollar. Some of these other pairs have a lot of volatility as well. And so, with this amount of high impact news, do expect a lot of movement, a lot of volatility this week. Okay, so just be careful. Make sure you confirm all your signals on like a 1 hour or 4 hour chart to, maximize your profits. Okay, and to confirm your entry points. Now, I want to look at the chart and kind of see what I think is going to happen here. Okay, if we look at the Euro USD, Pound USD, AUD USD, and New Zealand Dollar USD, we see a drop from the beginning of the week all the way down to here. Okay, AUD USD and New Zealand Dollar USD, both the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar follow almost identical patterns, right? And if we look at Pound USD and Euro USD, they're very similar as well. But all these have definitely seen a drop in the value. This means that the US dollar has been gaining as a result. Okay. Now, if we look at the US dollar or Swiss franc, we see that it definitely has been going up. And US dollar Japanese yen has gone up, and the US dollar Canadian dollar has gone up as well. So the dollar has definitely strengthened this past week, which I figured it probably would, but the thing is, it's only temporary. And long term, we can expect the US dollar to be dropping. Okay. And now, first of all, I want to start with EURUSD. And we already see that it's been dropping this week, but I want to kind of look at some higher time frames to get an idea of what I think is going to happen this coming week. If we look at the 4-hour chart, all right, we see that we have an up arrow. It had already gone up and back down again, but this signifies to me that this is definitely going to be going up. If you look at the daily, you have an up arrow. Weekly, you have an up arrow. And the monthly, you have an up arrow, okay, as your current signal. So, long term, EURUSD is going to be going up. And if this does go up, what's going to happen is the dollar is going to drop as a result. All right. So, despite all this high impact news and what goes on in the political side of the world, this really doesn't. It has some effect, but overall, long term, really doesn't matter, because all these markets go in cycles. And if you learn to read the charts and kind of see all your support and resistance areas and where the price is going to bounce off of, then you can really get an accurate prediction of what's going to happen, even without looking at the high impact news. Okay, so now we see that EURUSD is going to be going up. Let's look at pound USD. I want to look at higher time frames. According to the 4-hour, it's showing that it wants to go up. Daily shows it wants to go up. Weekly shows it wants to go up, and the monthly. Okay, so right now, this pound USD is sitting at a pretty strong level of support. Now we see one thing I want to note here is that right here, this was the lowest point. Okay, maybe in the history, I don't know, of this Great British Pound. It is dropping almost to the same point, so it could drop more and come down to this point and form another up arrow. But the thing is, this is on a monthly chart I'm looking at right now, so if it does, it could take a few more months before this actually drops. So in the short term, we can expect this to be going up. All right. So what I think is going to happen is that EURUSD, pound USD, these two pairs generally run together. They follow about the same pattern. So this week we can expect it to mostly be going up. Maybe towards the end of the week we will see a retrace and it will come back down. If I draw a trend line like right here, okay, we see we have a downtrend right here, but now we hit this strong level of support. If I draw a line here, then we have what's called a fallen wedge pattern, okay, where the price is coming down to the support, and what's going to happen is the price is going to shoot back up, touch this line, and then come back down. Now, obviously we're looking at a daily chart right now, so this could take a couple of weeks for this to come back up and touch this trend line. I would say at least 2 weeks for this to touch the trend line and come back down. So definitely for this week, look for buy opportunities only with EURUSD and pound USD. And then moving on to Australian dollar USD and New Zealand dollar, these are almost identical, so predictions are going to be the same. If we look at the 4-hour chart, right, we see that we have an up arrow, okay, and we look at the daily up arrow and the weekly up arrow, okay, even the monthly. So right now we're sitting at a pretty solid level of support, and it's definitely getting ready to go back up. Okay. Now there is a possibility it could drop a little more at the beginning of the week. There is this level of support down here, according to the 4-hour, but I do not think it's going to drop that far, considering we have an arrow already. So what we can expect pretty much is for a long-term gain going up this week, probably around the middle of the week, maybe Thursday, we'll see a retracement. All right. It probably, if we mark this level of resistance here, oops, delete that. Mark this level of resistance here, then we could probably say that it'll come back up to this level here, and then bounce off again. Okay, I cannot say for certain, but we kind of see like a ranging pattern here, a ranging market, where this is the lowest point, this is the highest point, and right, this is kind of in the middle, so it'll probably come back up somewhere here in this area and retrace and come back down again. That's what I feel will happen. And like I said, it'll probably happen towards Wednesday or Thursday. Now, if the US dollar has a big drop come Friday during non-farm payroll, this will spike up a lot more, which is, predicted anyways. It might break this level of resistance. If it does break that level of resistance, I feel that it's going to keep going up and up. But I don't know. The US dollar is still the strongest currency in the world, no matter what. Keep that in the back of your mind, okay? But definitely do expect probably more of a ranging market this week. And in the beginning of the week, watch for this to go up and then back down again towards the end of the week. That's probably the safest analysis for both these NZD, USD, all right, and Australian dollar USD. So these are almost the same, but not exactly the same. But overall, we can expect about the same type of behavior. All right, moving on to US dollar Swiss franc. We see this past week that it has steadily gone up, right? And then for this coming week, I think we're going to see a reversal. All right. Now, right now, according to the 4 hour, showing up right now, but it's sitting at this level of resistance right here. So it might pop up might pop up a down arrow on the 4 hour chart. I don't know right now. But the daily is showing up, and the weekly is showing down. So if the daily is showing up, has not had a red arrow yet, I think it will go up. And what's going to happen is you're going to hit a level of resistance. Maybe like right here at this level. If it keeps going up, and then we'll see a retracement come back down, and it might break and go a little higher. Okay. Which would be, if we look at the daily chart, the next level of resistance would be probably here. Okay. And it might come back up to this level, hit this level several times. Okay. So if it breaks, expect it to come up to this level. I'm thinking that it's going to come up to this level and retrace and come back down. Okay, I can't say for certain, but with looking at the high impact news this week, I feel that there will be a drop in the US dollar. All right, so this is a daily chart. So in the beginning of the week, we're definitely going to see an increase. I feel like we're definitely going to see the price go up about 500 points maybe, and then come back down. Definitely towards the end of the week, it's going to be dropping. There's no doubt about it. But, at what point, how far up it's going to go, I cannot say exactly. And exactly what point it's going to drop, I cannot say exactly. So, it's up to you. In the beginning of the week, you could look for buy opportunities. What I would do, since the overall long term is showing bearish that it wants to go down, I would be waiting for good, solid sell opportunities. Okay, just play the US dollar safe. Okay, I know, like this past week, it had steadily went up, and you could have had a lot of pips, and that's fine. But the thing is, right now, at this point, it's getting very shady, very iffy. and I don't think it's going to go up too much further. It will, but not much. If we look at the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, we see that it had overall gained towards the end of the week. On Friday, it just was in a flat range of motion, and the market was kind of slow on Friday, so we didn't really see much movement at all. But the question still here is, will this keep going up? And if you look at the 4-hour chart, last arrow we see here is an up arrow. Okay, there's no down arrow yet. Now the price is consolidated, which generally indicates there's about to be a reversal. All right, we're hitting this strong area of resistance where it doesn't want to go up no more. But like I said, we look at the daily and even the weekly, we still show an up arrow. Now, typically this U.S. dollar Japanese yen has an opposite or adverse effect or movement compared to the U.S. dollar Swiss franc. If the U.S. dollar Swiss franc is dropping, U.S. dollar Japanese yen usually is going up. Not always, but a lot of the time they have an adverse effect. So I would probably predict this one to be going up a lot more than I'd predict the U.S. dollar Swiss franc. And I think that this is going to be going up in the long term. If you look at the daily and weekly, all we have is an up arrow. So I'll probably be looking for good, solid buy opportunities. Expect this to drop in the beginning of the week. If you look at the hourly, you already have a down arrow here, right? And this is that point of consolidation. So we can expect this to drop some in the beginning of the week, maybe a few hundred points, I don't know. And then it's going to retrace and go back up again. So I would definitely wait until you have good, solid, buy points, all right? And just do not rush into these trades. Give it a couple hours. If you're on an hourly chart, even 4-hour chart, and you have a signal, I would probably stay on an hourly chart and wait for a buy signal, and then you can still wait a couple hours after that before you actually place your trade, just to see if it repaints or adjusts or whatever, and then get in a trade for long term. Once you place a buy trade, it should be good for the rest of the week, I would think. Okay, you should be able to get at least 500-600 points easily off just one single trade on this once you get into a buy trade. Moving on to US dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, we did see an overall gain this week, but pretty much has been in a range in motion. All right. If I go to some of the higher time frames, look at the 4-hour, it's definitely showing that it wants to go down, right? And if you look at the daily, it wants to go up. Weekly down and monthly down. So it's kind of a mixture of signals here. But overall, it's definitely showing bearish that it wants to go down. And if I draw a trend line coming from here, well, that's not really a good one, but we could say that this is the trend line going down, right? I don't know how solid it is. Technically, there's only 2 points, but you could almost count this point here as your trend line. Now, like I said, this has an up arrow. It hit this point here and bounced off of. This is what's kind of important. So what we can look at is we can draw at this area here is a level of support. Okay, this is a pretty solid level of support. It hit it several times and never dropped any lower. That's why it formed this up arrow here, because it hit it so many times. Now, with this downtrend touching this support, it forms a falling wedge pattern, like I told you earlier. And with this wedge pattern, typically what we're going to see is this price is going to drop back down and come down somewhere in here. I don't know if it's going to actually touch this trend line again, but it's definitely going to come down and then retrace and come back up. And then it's going to touch this trend line and it's going to break out. Once it breaks out of this trend, you're going to have a long-term uptrend. And that would be the best time to buy. Okay? right now the daily chart is showing the buy, but it's already too late because you got it. If you would have got in this in the beginning of the week, last week, you would have had a lot of pips. But now it's definitely getting ready to reverse. Okay, so if I look at the 1 hour and zoom out a little bit, we see that this is the support here and this is the trend line, and the price is definitely getting ready to drop. Once it comes down here, and it's probably going to hit, you're looking at almost 1,500 pips drop. So even if you get like 1,000 pips, it's okay. But the thing is, it's going to drop in the beginning of the week. So I would probably definitely sell at the beginning of the week, close your trade, and wait for it to go back up again. And then catch some pips on the way back up. And then if it hits this trend line, you can actually wait and see what happens. If it starts to come back down again, close it and take your profit. Or if it breaks, just keep it open. Keep that trade open and let it ride. So I do feel strongly that once this trend line, once it comes back up and retraces back up, it will break this trend line and keep going up. Okay, so it's impossible to say 100% certain, but it looks very strongly that this will happen. Okay, so anyhow, this is my weekly trade predictions for this upcoming week. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll be more than happy to try to help you. Also, if you could make your own analysis and see if I'm missing anything, or if you don't agree with me, or you want to add to what I have, just message me on Facebook and let me know, and we can share our thoughts. Also, I would prefer if you could post your analysis in my Facebook group, and that way, I can collaborate with you and all the other traders in my Facebook group, and we can all as a community get an idea of what is going to happen this coming week. Okay, and if you have any questions about any other currency pairs, feel free to ask me about those as well. Okay, I'll be more than happy to help you. You can contact me below. There's a personal link to my Facebook account in the description of this video. Also, there is a link for my private Facebook group. If you have not joined my Facebook group, please do so. That way you can post in my Facebook group any questions or comments you might have about this, or any of my products or services. I don't care. Post whatever you want in my Facebook group, and then this way I can assist you, or another trader can assist you as well. Okay, so with that said, I look forward to your success this week, and just let me know if any questions. Okay, thank you so much.